Hey guys, TJ Lawton here. Today I just want to do another little video to the camera talking about a bit of mindset and philosophy. Today is a bit more of a rant, and the only person I'm trying to call out here is myself because this is a mistake that I've made a lot in the past and I caught myself making recently. So this video is more of sort of trying to call my past self out and make sure I don't do this shit again because it's really annoying. And it's not like it's the worst thing, but also it can be quite limiting. And that's the idea of like watching too many tutorials or taking too many courses or reading too many books, and then sort of getting into this mindset of I need to know everything before I can do anything, right? And I'm sure some of you have been here before, maybe not, maybe I'm the only person to have had this problem, and I'm just a big idiot for making this video, but we'll find out, won't we? I came across this problem a few times in my career, and it usually starts with like you're not making the music you like, and you think there's something I haven't learned yet, or haven't practiced enough, or stuff like that. So you end up, diving into YouTube. Maybe you get a course. Maybe you go on Reddit and make a post and take everyone's feedback on and stuff like that. Maybe you read a book, and then you learn some really good strategies like, oh yeah, here's how you make your kick drum sound really big. If you have these kind of kick drums, then you're going to make really good music. It's like, oh yeah, you have to learn music theory. Once you learn music theory, then you can create chord progressions and melodies that sound really good. And I'm like, cool, great. So I remember I took this music theory course, and it was like almost 40 hours of content, I think. And it was pretty good. I definitely learned a lot from it. But I was just kind of like, I can't make music ever again until I finish this course, right? Until I've done this course. And 40 hours is quite a lot because you're not going to do like 10 hours a day of that, right? Maybe you do like an hour a day. So it's going to take you like over a month to finish. And I was like, yeah, do this course. And I finished it. And then the guy had like an advanced course. He's like, oh, in this course, I'll teach you how to blend modes and scales so you can have way more interesting music. And I was like, oh, I need to know that because without that, my music's not going to sound very musical and stuff like that. I was so close to buying it, thinking that would actually make a difference. And then that's when I sort of snapped out of it, and I was like, no, 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 that's not the way to do it. Um, and then I found myself doing it again recently, where I'd just taken like a mixing tutorial or something, and I got really bogged down on the mixing, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to mix my kick drums like this and do it like this, otherwise my music's not going to sound professional. And I was completely sacrificing my own creativity in order to follow these strategies. And I was like sacrificing, it wasn't really making art, I was just like trying to produce. And yeah, the stuff was coming out sounding, it was well produced. And I guess that is a practice to mix and EQ and compress and all that. But it gets to a point where you're just like, I'm not really making the music I want. It sounds really generic. It sounds very left brain. And I had that problem. I snapped out of it last night again, and I was like, oh, damn it, I did it again. And it's very alluring because it's like when you're not feeling that inspired and your music's not going the way you want, we tend to think it's a outside problem, right? It's like, oh, I need to find the knowledge. I need to seek something outside of myself in order to find this knowledge. Then I can have the good music. Then I can get the validation. Then I can get the streams. Then I can get the shows, right, and all that. And it's a bit of a fucked up loop, if I'm honest. But again, like this is just my insights, and really this video is just aiming at myself. But if you find value in this, great. And that's not to say like as well, because I know this is quite contradictory to what my whole channel is about, of like, educating people on certain strategies and techniques in music production. That's not to say that you shouldn't watch any YouTube videos. I think it can be very, very helpful. Let's say in a situation where you're writing a track and you've got everything down, everything sounds, you're like, oh, this is amazing, I can't stop listening to it. And you've written your main melody, but the sound design's not quite where you want it. And so you go on YouTube and you look up like a serum tutorial or something, like how to make bonobo style plucks or something, and then you're like, oh yes, oh that's the sound I want. So then you watch the tutorial, it's like 20 minutes long, you recreate the sound, and then you finish your song, right? In that particular instance, I think it's absolutely fine. I think you really want to that's where you really want to be, and just being like, that's like the most purest form I can think, where it's really helpful. But let's say, you haven't opened your door in like months, or you haven't finished a track in months, and you haven't made anything really you're excited about. And that's the important part of it. You got to make stuff that you're excited about. Because if you're just going through the motions and making random tracks, like, oh yeah, just house track number 412, and it's like the same thing, and it sounds using the same strategies and the same stuff. It's like you're not really getting excited about it. So I think it's important that you get excited and have fun. So yeah, I think in that instance there where, you know, you follow a tutorial and you make the sound you want, it's great. But the alternative, the very extreme side, is where you just take course after course, watch YouTube after YouTube video, and then you sit down to write and you're like, ah, if only I could remember every single strategy I've ever learned, then I could make the music I want. And you're like trying to recall all these little bits from all these things, like, oh, if only I could remember how that music theory thing worked in that book, and if only I could remember what I watched on that live stream about how to do EQ, then my music would be amazing. I mean, that's a horrible way to make music, because you just get bogged down with all this, like, I need to do it, like, you know, need to do this way, I need to follow this strategy, I need to follow this rules. And that's why today's video is called Fuck the Rules, because it's like sometimes you just need to be like, you know, do your own fucking thing, right? And come up with, make your own mistakes. It's usually, from what I understand anyway, it's usually the artists who are willing to just say, I'm not going to do it that way, I'm going to do it the wrong way, the quote unquote wrong way, and actually make something really interesting. And yeah, I think that's a good point, really. I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is just don't get too bogged down on the technicals, don't get too bogged down on the strategy and the theory. Just make music, and make music the way you want. Like, go inside your synthesizer and just fuck with it, and just do things like, oh, I usually, if I make a bass line sound, then usually I have to do this. It's like, do the fucking opposite and just see what happens, experiment and make it work. And then don't mind if you're like, if it's bad, just like, as long as you're getting excited about it because it's different, I think that's awesome. But again, not to say that you shouldn't watch any tutorials, because they're still useful. So yeah, that's my little rant over. Just really calling myself out, because I have made this mistake several times, and if you found value in it, great. If not, then I'm sorry for wasting your time, I guess. Anyway, that's today's video. Cheers, I'll see you soon.